Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the home studio today on this, the 4th day of July in the year 2022. Sure hope you had a great 4th of July and a fantastic weekend this weekend. For the most part, the weather really cooperated. So I really do hope you all got a chance to enjoy whatever it was you did, wherever it was you did it. I had a chance to visit my mother and stepfather up in Sussex County Saturday and Sunday, and it was just nice to be out of the big city for a few days and to hear nothing but peace and quiet and the sound of boats on the lake. So really hope you enjoyed yours as much as I did. But the news never stops, and even though it is a holiday, we're with you today, and you can see the front page on your screen. Blood runs out. Let me say something right off the top. I want people to realize, because believe it or not, I spoke with Patty Blood after she saw the front page, and some people told her, what was the big rush to get out? It was a play on words. Blood runs out. You know, she wasn't in any big hurry on the 30th of June to get out of the office and go home and never work again. It was just a play on words. But Patricia Blood, who was the superintendent of schools in Kearney for 8 years, has retired. And she's going off to better places, I suppose, and she will spend time with her family, with her grandchildren, most of whom are in New Jersey. One is in California. But she spent 8 years as the superintendent of schools in Kearney, and she's going to be tough to replace. She did a lot of solid work over her career, not just as superintendent, but especially as superintendent, and that includes concluding the Kearney High School project, which if you are a regular here and you've been around for a while, you know was a very, very difficult process. But once it was over, that is a beautiful, beautiful change that she made to the high school, including the amazing atrium, the new cafeteria room for the culinary kids to cook, and you name it, new classrooms, renovated classrooms, new furniture in the classrooms, new lockers. I could probably go on for hours here just speaking about that alone. But we spoke with Patty. We went to the Greeks a couple of weeks before she retired, sat down, reflected on her career, and she has a lot to say about her career. And, of course, the new superintendent, Flora Encarnação, is now in place. She was Patty's assistant. So I hope you'll check this story out on page number 1, then goes into the inside. As we continue along on the front page, in North Arlington, for the 6th straight year, there will be no tax increase on the municipal side of the bill. Now, that's a pretty remarkable feat. To be able to do it once is pretty amazing. They've done it 6 consecutive years in North Arlington. Now, does it mean that there's not going to be an increase in taxes in North Arlington? Well, it depends on the school budget and the county budget. But at least on the municipal side, which is where Mayor Dan Pronti is most concerned and the members of the Borough Council, the $0 increase is pretty remarkable when you consider it 6 years in a row. And also, you have to keep in mind here that spending hasn't exactly been flat either, because salaries go up, insurance premiums go up, things of that nature. So a pretty remarkable feat for Dan Pronti and his crew in North Arlington, similar to Kearney, same thing. And whenever you hear there's a flat tax rate increase, that is always a good thing. As we move on into the inside of this week's edition of The Observer, I had a chance to speak with Detective Jordy Jean of the Kearney Police Department last week. Jordanson is his full name, but his nickname is Jordy. He has, along with Officer Rich Pulowski, gotten together with Chief George King, Scott McPhee, the deputy chief, the mayor, and the council, and the town council approved, through grant funding, $39,000 for the police department to purchase 2 brand new drones. Now, this is a big thing for the police department. And not only will the police department get to use it, but the fire department will as well, and other departments as necessary. But when you consider this, Jordy brought up an incident a couple of years ago. Some of you may remember this, because one of our competing agencies said that SWAT teams had their guns drawn and out at a person who was at the one of the postal facilities over on Harrison Avenue, which sort of was true, but the situation wasn't as bad as it seemed to be. But what happened was the guy fell asleep in his car, and he had a gun with him, and nobody seemed to know what was going on, but they couldn't get up close to see it and see what was actually going on. And Jordy had mentioned that day, if there had been a drone, they could have flown it right into the parking lot, and they would have been able to assess the situation much easier with that as part of their equipment, but they didn't have it. But fortunately, that situation worked out okay. But the bottom line is, if they had a drone that day, they would have been able to fly it in and would have been able to assess the situation better. What's most remarkable about these drones, though, is they have 4K, 60 frames per second video, so the clarity is going to be amazing. It streams to iPads and phones. It can be seen, let's just say the chief is away for, like he was this week at the police chief convention last week. He could watch it from a distance. He could watch a situation and can help to assess a situation remotely. So you don't actually have to be on the scene, but it's an encrypted video. And now here's the other thing. How many times have we seen in the Kearney police blotter where you hear about a guy who's trying door handles, trying to get into cars to steal phones or money and things of that nature? Well, oftentimes the call will come into the police department, and by the time the suspect realizes police are looking for him or her, they take a run for it. And they go to backyards, they hop fences, they hide in bushes and things of that nature. It's not going to be easy to do that anymore because these drones' cameras have infrared thermal imaging. So a person who is hiding in a backyard, who thought they were hiding, won't be able to hide anymore. So, as the headline says, criminals beware. It's very important to realize that this is going to be a phenomenal tool in fighting crime. And it could be at a fire scene as well. You know, you think about when the roof collapsed at one of the postal facilities. There were, I believe, there was one person who was still in the building when the roof came down. You have that camera, you can fly it in and know where the person is, and not have to guess or decipher where a person might be located, whether it's in a collapse or in a fire, things of that nature. So eventually, this will be used by the fire department as well. I know Chief Joseph Mastandry was very happy about this. And Jordy and Rich did an amazing job pitching this. It was a long process. The company that they're buying these drones from is Axon. And you've heard of them, even if you don't think you have. They are the company that provides the body-worn cameras that officers wear on their chests, and also the tasers. And I think I'm allowed to say tasers. We got a cease and desist note or a letter to stop saying tased as a verb. It's not a verb. It's a brand name of a weapon. So I hope Axon doesn't come after us for me saying taser. But that's the company that will provide the drones. They're made by another company, but Axon distributes them. So pretty soon they'll be in use with the Kearney Police Department. Jordy and Rich went out to New Mexico, and they had significant amount of training on these because you need to get a certificate to fly them, because they're not, the tethered ones don't require, but these two are not tethered. So you have to have significant training to be able to operate these. And believe it or not, the maximum height you can go without getting permission from the FAA is 50 feet in the air. I'm pretty sure that's what Jordy told me. And, you know, now that because they have these certificates, they can call the FAA directly. You get a direct line. They don't have to call the tower at Newark and say, listen, we need to raise our drone a little bit higher. We need a wider scope, things of that nature. And if the planes are not flying around here, and you got to remember, we're in a somewhat distinct disadvantage because planes are constantly, depending on the weather, taking off over here. And they're not very high. They're only about 1,000 feet in the air sometimes when they fly over Kearney. So even when they land, they're coming in over, around the Schuyler Avenue corridor, and they're low. So because Rich and Jordy have this training, you'll have direct access to the FAA. Check it out. This is all great stuff. And from what I understand, taxpayers are pretty much off the hook. I'm pretty sure Steve Marks, the business administrator, along with the mayor and council, found funding. But great job from Jordy and Rich putting this together on their own without being prompted. They didn't even have anybody saying, hey, it'd be nice if we had a drone program here. Moving along, we'll stick to the Kearney PD one more time here. There's two more things, but this one now. The PBA, with its new president, Mina Claudius, and Charlie Smith, the president of the Kearney Police Superior Officers Union, donated gift cards to St. Stephen's Church that will be used for the families of the Laurel Avenue fire from a little bit over a week ago on Sunday. It was a terribly devastating fire. 2 homes severely damaged. 3 families are without every possession and a place to live. So from what I understand, I spoke with John Manley, retired from the Kearney Police Department, who is doing some work with St. Stephen's, that the outpouring of gift cards to St. Stephen's has been nothing short of amazing. They have been overwhelmed by the response. But you can still donate. If you wish to do so, you can drop off gift cards. They're looking for gift cards to big places like Walmart, Walgreens, ShopRite, things of that nature, places where people, Kohl's, they can get clothing and food and things of that nature. You can drop them off at the St. Stephen's Rectory if you still want to do so, which is off of on Washington Avenue, just off of Kearney Avenue to the east. And if nobody is there, you can drop it. There's a slot in the main door that goes to the office. You can leave the cards there. So congratulations. It's not necessarily the right word, but a tremendous job out of the police unions and St. Stephen's Church, Father Joe Mancini, John Manley, and company over there for collecting all of these gift cards for the people who lost everything in that terrible fire. Seniors will be able to get vouchers for the Nutley's Farmer Market on June 10th. So if you live in Nutley and you are a senior citizen and you would like to get vouchers to get $5 coupons, I think they get 4 each, 1 for each month. July 10th is the date they will be available over at the Nutley Farmers Market, so be sure to go. You need to prove your residency. Staying in Nutley again, there is a new superintendent of schools in Nutley. I won't tell you anything about him, so you can go ahead and read it, but he is from within, and that is certainly a good thing. They stayed within to replace Julie Glazer, who's going off somewhere else, and we'll see what comes of that. But Nutley has a new schools chief, and he is already in place. Police blotter from Kearney. Well, a lot of police stuff this week. A shoplifter was arrested, and when he was arrested, they found him wearing 9 pairs of pants and shorts. Pretty interesting, isn't it? You just never know what you're going to see in the police blotter. Tim Wagner has that for us, and he did a great job, as he does each and every week. It's a prolific writer, Captain Tim Wagner. Jason Bernstein has 2 stories in sports this week about Sean Dollahan, who is the new athletic director at Harrison High School. He replaces Kim McDonough-Haranga, who is moving on to being a vice principal for early childhood, I believe, years. And he also has a story about how some local teams have taken part in a summer basketball league, so check that out as well. My colleague Ron Lear has a story about some promotions at the Harrison High School, and that there is now a provisional fire chief. They have been going without a fire chief and just a civilian director, but the civilian director is going to go part-time, and there will be a uniformed chief now. And I hope you'll check that out and read all about that. Some Dean's List and honor rolls as well. The Elks donated money and cash to Project Graduation, and they've got a photo of that. Summer concert series is beginning in Belleville. We mentioned Franklin School in Kearney needs help getting their playground fixed so that it's better sensory playground there. So read about that. Also read about the Kearney Town Council chambers being renovated thanks to funds from the American Recovery Act. PBA 21 donated scholarships to 2 graduating Kearney High School seniors. We have a photo of that. Thank you, Vanessa Sevillano, for bringing that to us so that we could publish it. And then, of course, we have 2 pages of classified. So if you're looking for a place to live, if you are looking for a job, anything of that nature, we've got it in this week's Classifieds, as we do each and every week. And I can't believe I have to mention this once again, but the Nutley Police Department is warning that people are calling up as PSENG. It's not really PSENG, but they're spoofing the phone number to make it look like it is PSENG. And what they're doing is they're telling elderly people and generally residents that if they don't get gift cards to Target or Walmart or Google Play, that their electricity is going to be shut off. Some people don't even have a balance, and they're being told if they don't go and pay their balance, they're going to have their electricity shut off. I guess it's like beating a dead horse, but these utility companies don't take gift cards, and they don't call and tell you these things, okay? So if you get a call, this is not just for people of Nutley, and it says PSENG, for any reason, hang up and call them back. Because even if it says PSENG, it doesn't mean it is. Caller ID, unfortunately, is far too easy to spoof. So be very, very cautious. But just remember, PSENG will never call you under any circumstances and tell your elderly family members and neighbors and friends that they are certainly not going to require you to go to Walmart or Target and get a gift card to pay your electric bill. It just doesn't happen. But unfortunately, these scams continue on a daily basis. Most of them are based in India, and people still fall for it all the time. The one good thing about this, though, is that many of the stores, including places like Target and Walmart, where they sell their own gift cards or Google Play cards or Apple Store cards, the clerks have been trained to recognize when people come in, an elderly person comes in and wants to buy $2,000 worth of Google Play cards. I doubt they're looking to give that much to their grandkids or to play games or rent movies worth $2,000 on the Google Play Store. So just keep that in mind. It is 17 minutes past the hour. Knessa here with you on this 4th of July. That's going to do it for this edition of the Observer Live, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. Hope you have a great rest of the day, even though there's not much left to it. Of course, we'll be back 1 week from tonight, and if anything else happens during the course of the week, we will, in fact, join you live, just as we did from the scene of the fire a week ago. So, from the home studio, Kevin Knessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.